and welcome back to Respawn Point. I'm Michael.
And I'm Zach.
Been a week.
It has. I will say. I mean, what's your week been like?
It's been actually pretty crazy, which we'll get to, but it's also been good. It's
Okay.
been a mix of of good and bad and neutral. There's some really good events. There's a lot of things I'm really super proud about.
Super proud.
Yeah, I've actually accomplished quite a bit of things, which is amazing.
That's good to hear.
One of the things I'm proud of is I got this episode edited faster than I've edited any other. Well, not this episode, sorry. The last episode. I had that one edited much faster. I think moving it to the Friday where I edited, it was like the cheat code I needed. And then I kind of shifted my priorities a bit where I tried to be like, hey, if I'm this day I'm going to be the artist and this day I'm going to be the editor and this day, like, no, I crumpled all that piece of paper, threw it in the trash. And I was like, first priority, Respawn Point podcast. Second priority, the YouTube channel, which I actually threw that task away and said I'll deal with it later because today's the end of the sprint. And I didn't do the YouTube video because it was really complex to do the Suika clone. We'll get to that in a minute.
Ended up just putting that to the side.
Well, I'm still going to do a video next sprint. I just took that idea and I was like, I'm not going to do this video, just like I didn't do another video in the past. I was like, I'm not going to jump on this trend bandwagon, mainly because it's not going to help me in a month. It's not going to help me in the video. It'll be a trend that's dead, and I don't think it's worth making the video.
You think it's better just to focus on what's now currently happening instead of just trying to keep up with the previous goal and changing it up right now, is what you're saying?
I'm going to avoid trends, actually.
Okay.
If I go with a trend, my concern is what's trendy now might not be trendy in a month. So that video that I release won't live up to its potential over time. Because when you make a video, it may not be viral in the first day, in the first month, or the first year. It could become viral like a year or two later. But if you make
Yeah.
content that's only relevant in the moment, it'll never be relevant in the future. So
Interesting.
so you have to think about it. If I'm going to make a video, is it going to be the same impact a year from now?
So what you're saying is when you have your video out, you want it to at least have an impact where somebody thinks about it a year later, or somebody comes back to that video or it's still relevant, or
Yeah. So since I do game development tutorials in this channel,
yeah.
the main thing is that if I create a tutorial or a guide, right, you would want to, a year from now, say someone's coming and becoming a developer using Godot, and then they're like, hey, I want to know how to do such and such thing. If I made a
Okay.
video that was like, here's how you do this thing for this very specific genre trend thing, and then when you go to a year later, we're like, well, I really don't care about that thing. I care about something else. Then no one's going to go watch your video, not going to care about it. Now, if you make something more generic or general purpose and be like, here's how to do a design pattern or how you like build this fighter game, or just do something that has like it can be evolved into whatever someone is doing, whether it's it's a UI video or a design pattern, whatever.
A little more flexible, is what you're
Yeah.
saying, huh?
Yeah, they could take it and say, oh, this is relevant to say the game they're making. They just have to take the essence of it
Yeah.
and understand it. Whereas
Yeah, the
like
bits and pieces.
exactly, they can find ways to make it relevant to them. But if you're like, hey, I made a clone of a trendy game that's popping now, like what if I was like, hey, I'm gonna make Among Us? Like, okay.
Yeah, that's it's not really gonna hit.
I mean, it might be interesting, like that still has some hit, but like I don't think it'd be as impactful as it was, say, during the pandemic.
Yeah,
So,
because during 2020 that game was everywhere. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it would have been way more like impactful to create a clone at that point and be like, look what I did, which people were doing. It was everywhere. People were making clones like crazy.
Oh yeah, but people were at that point. That was the time to get in. But as you notice, those clones haven't really made its way around. That was popular during that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I ended up stacking my tasks and saying, okay, well, I moved that out, which left to just be the game development side. So I just focused on that, which I'm really happy with the progress I've made. So I think it's been a good week. It's also been a stressful week. I think so. How about you? How are things going?
I mean, right now things are popping. I would say that this week actually has been going by really quick. I'm surprised we've already made it to the next time we're recording right now as quick as we did, because I feel
Right.
like it was just Halloween. You know, we talked about that in the last few episodes. Now it's going to be Thanksgiving, and work has been just busy as well, with the combobulator. That word always gets to me. But I feel like I just have been really focused on work. I haven't been able to focus on anything else. We had our first bit of snowfall here. That was fun.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it was our second time, right?
I would I would say yeah, but for where we're at, it was a lot more than I was
Mm,
expecting. And then because I have that hour commute,
yes.
the drive ends up being even extra.
Does your car handle well in the snow?
Yes, it handles good. I have all wheel drive. Thank
Yeah.
the Lord.
I have a car, so when it snows, I ain't going anywhere.
Psh, yeah, you don't need to. Got got your laptop at home.
Yeah, but taking the kids to school is fun.
That is true. Do they have it where kids could be remote?
No, no thanks.
No.
We tried that. It didn't work.
That didn't last long.
It
But
was so bad.
yeah, no, with work though, I mean, that's been the main focus. Offices have been submitting a lot more work as of recent.
Mhm.
We've been getting the Bob. We've been now processing on average 300 jobs a day,
Oh, wow.
which like that's 300 jobs in, and then we also have like another almost like up to like 300 in the combobulator, which is even higher than before. I feel like because the number has just been staying above like 130, 140, and we get it down to like 20, and then it bumps back up to another 150, and then having all these frames to receive to get traced. We've been having a lot of issues right now where opticals have been sending in jobs that are incorrect because of the
Mm,
bevel type. I guess there's like a whole. We've had like a sling of issues with that. Basically, what I mean by bevel is just the type of frame. If it's like a semi rimless, you have the groove showing, which is
mhm.
the lens like what holds it in place into the frame. If you
Yeah.
have it as a hide bevel, the bevel's being hidden by the plastic of the frame. You also have your metal grooves, and then you also have your industrial grooves, which are more for your safety frames. And offices have been just submitting work, and things have been slipping through the cracks. So our breakage rate's kind of gone up a little bit, which has been a little
Mm,
unfortunate, but I think that'll get better with time. But
yeah.
it's just that seasonal period where it's getting busy. So it's those little things that end up coming through the cracks a little bit.
Yeah. Man, that reminds me, I need to actually do my insurance claims stuff because it's like it was open enrollment started this week for us, so
Ooh,
I go do that before the open enrollment closes and I have no insurance and then I'd be in big trouble.
ooh. Yeah, this was my first open enrollment that I have fully taken on
Hmm.
insurance. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Making moves in life. Now I have insurance. I feel like I have a big boy job at this point instead of just don't go to the doctor and don't plan on dying.
Right. Oh, I've been on that plan before.
Yes. I've been gaming a little bit more again.
Yeah.
That's been going on. I've been really excited. I've been honestly kind of getting back into World of Warcraft. I can tell you about that.
So about WoW. We'll dip our toes in here. I was addicted to WoW for a while. I love MMOs and I had to pull myself back. And I mean I played Ultima Online. That was a big thing for me growing up. Uh
Oh yeah,
but I saw something. I'm not into the no, like I've been catching up on people playing hardcore WoW, and
I
some people
love
getting
hardcore WoW.
are are you a big guy on it or do you
I
like
love watching people play it. I
mm,
do not love playing it myself.
okay. Yeah, I've seen people play. I've seen some people get very, very frustrated. They also feel like it's just a chore. And then it's like,
I could see the chore aspect. So I enjoy it because of the entertainment of watching somebody else go through that effort. If I myself have to do that, say I get a character past, I mean, honestly, in like classic WoW, I would say past level 15, level 20, and then dying and having to do that all over again, repeat, repeat, repeat,
that sounds miserable.
that would be awful because it's an MMO format too,
Yeah.
and everything's a grind,
Right?
especially in classic WoW.
Yeah, there's no special quest that boosts you up any faster.
No. But
Yeah.
you were saying though, yeah, that yeah, I remember growing up, I would see you. World of Warcraft was your crack I mean, that was
Yeah,
where
I
the
mean,
name World of
well,
Warcraft came in. I think I always remember you
so
playing it.
so I think our other brother Chris was the one that was deep into it, and I actually took me a while to actually get into WoW because I used to play EverQuest. And so I went from Ultima Online to EverQuest, and I was addicted to EverQuest. Like that was my crack, as
That
it
was
were.
your game.
Yeah, I would play that one constantly. I used to play a little bit of it, tried to get you into it. It's probably even harder than WoW
Tried.
Classic
Yeah.
because yeah, the graphics are nowhere near like the stylized stuff, which I do like. I take appreciate because the stylized art is my jam. I really love that art style, and WoW has that. And it's gotten better over time. Started was like, but it
A
got
little
better.
rough. Yeah. But I feel like World of Warcraft has that. Is like that's what I like about stylized art is there's something unique about it that you can go back to, and it kind of becomes timeless.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I feel. But I think that's why Classic WoW has also been playable again, and people have really been excited to play that. People are very particular about which WoW expansion you play. I've noticed in like my friend
Mm.
demographic too. I feel like when it comes towards Classic WoW versus retail WoW, that becomes a big debate.
I think it'd be really cool if WoW took the route that Daybreak does with EverQuest, where they have like a sped up, like they have a server that starts off in Classic, and then every month they add the next expansion until you're up to date. And now that
With
server then,
everything.
yeah, then that server just joins the rest of the collective, a new server that went through all the expansions, which would let a person get all of their achievements from things that were locked over time, but it lets them play through those memories of playing through those expansions as they came out, which maybe there's some ones you don't want to play, but I really like that about EverQuest where I can go through, and I like to play some of those progressive servers. Well,
Okay.
I used to, but I haven't in a while. Mainly because I enjoyed my time.
This is true with MMOs. I mean, just trying to find time for any of that in general. It's either, okay, do I talk to my family or do I get my character to max level?
And do I do all my side stuff? Because I probably won't be building a game if I'm stuck playing an MMO.
Yeah, I will say that's where I am with World of Warcraft. I have to have because that ended up being my game. I have to like pace myself because I could get lost into it really easy. I've noticed. But what you're saying with those progression servers is it'd be almost so you play the game. You start off with classic WoW, then it would go to
Hmm.
Burning Crusade, then Wrath of the Lich King, the Cataclysm, I believe, after that, and then whatever next expansion. I can't keep track with all of
Yeah.
them. I lose track after Cataclysm, but it's just doing that every single time, so everybody experiences it. But
Yeah.
it's sped up.
Yeah, it's a sped up time frame where like you do it in like a month. So you have a month to play through an expansion. And who knows, maybe it's not long enough. I don't know.
I mean, that kind of reminds me. They are doing something new with the season of Discovery with Classic WoW. Have you heard any of the updates with that?
As far as like WoW expansions, the only thing I know is one TikTok I saw of Asmongold reacting to them announcing the next 3 expansions all at once.
Yeah, Chris Metzen, who they brought back, is announcing. You have. Let me pull it up here. It's I had to get the graphic here because I can't remember their names, but it's the first one. What is it called? The War Within is the first one, which starts off with Azeroth dealing with like Azeroth being a Titan and the inside of Azeroth, and that's why the sword was stabbed into the earth, from what I understand. So they're going into that, and then like Void Lord lore. The
Yeah,
second expansion is Midnight, and
that's
then you
the
have the Last
Sunwell.
Titan. I
Yeah.
believe with the Sunwell, and I believe more with the elves is what it's going to deal with. Seems like the War Within's going to be dwarfs, elves, a mix there, underground type stuff.
See, the problem is like maybe if you're all into WoW and it's like your life. I get it. I'm jumping right in, but I'm so rusty that a lot of this just goes over my head because I've lost so much. The funny part is here we are talking, and I'm gonna have where's my phone? I'm gonna take a picture of this because I think it's hilarious, and I'll show it on there on the edit here for you guys. All lovely to see. But I have my monitor here, and I got my camera and my microphone, but it's all sitting on top of the World of Warcraft Collector's Edition for Cataclysm, is what's helping raise my monitor up right now.
Yes.
So
It's a relic of the past that's now being used as a monitor stand.
yeah. Oh,
You'll have to link that.
I will. Once and I need a new phone, man. Oh, let me do that. I need a new phone. It takes a while to like take a photo to like blink and then to like load. So I have to get a
Oh,
new
it takes a
phone.
minute. Yeah.
I don't get a new
Is
phone
that?
for 2 years, 2 to 3 years. Then I get a new phone.
Yeah, don't do every year. I feel like that's just a waste, personally.
Like, no way. I try to
Yeah,
do it until my phone is like on its last leg. But
same.
but yeah. So there's so much going on. I just can't get invested, man. Are you getting
I
invested in the
understand
new
that.
one?
I'm curious. So I'm the type of WoW player I am now is I'll be curious to see what it is when it first comes out, and then I drop it a quarter of the way through because I don't have any time to put towards it. But I do like hearing about the story because it's a
Yeah.
childhood game of mine and I just want to see where they're going. But I don't have the energy to keep up to get to max level. It takes me the whole year to get to max level before like the next expansion's being released. Well, all of my friends are on their fifth or sixth like
Mm,
alt character and getting their rep grinds done. I personally also with like Mythic Plus, the new like raid system that they
yeah.
have and they keep revamping every year.
Mm.
I can't keep up with that because I guess there's a meta that comes with it that everybody says you have to be like the best min-maxed character and you have to follow all these charts and to me that's kind of
Oh,
boring.
that's a job.
Yeah.
Raiding, that whole thing is a job. I used to play in a guild and I used to do raiding and I used to do the mythic. Like I was like max gear raiding farming and in mists the Pandaria, the
Oh yeah,
panda.
Mr. Pandaria. Yeah.
Mhm. I was a raider in that one. I was in it for that period of time. I think I was like taking a break from things and I was just full in. It's pretty much a job, and I'm like, it stopped being fun.
At that point, well, because it's your job. You're not doing it as a hobby anymore. I hear Twitch creators like when they talk about their time being like an officer in a guild. I'm like, so you work?
Yeah, no thanks.
I don't know. It seems fun, but I feel like
And
there's a whole other side to it.
yeah, I might just live that part of myself by watching Twitch streamers and checking in to give them progress, because then it's like them progressing for me, and then I'm like, cool, good job.
I like that. Cool.
I do that for games, like, I'll watch people play games and I'm like, "Ooh, I really like that game." I just can't devote my life in playing that game because I've got a lot going on. I do that for, like, Jacksepticeye when he plays Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. I love that game, but
100%.
I cannot dedicate myself to play it. I've got so much to do. I'll just watch a video every so often and get caught up, and it'll be as if I played it because it's okay. Now there are some games I'll like avoid and I want to play it. Like Baldur's Gate was one of them. Uh, there's some games I've been really addicted to Need for Speed. I don't know
That,
why.
yeah, Mr. Rep 50 already.
Yeah, I max grinded that. So,
um, yeah, I mean, I feel like there's your games that you want to you put your attention to and you don't want spoilers on, but there's other games you know you're not going to be able to
yeah.
100% because like Spider-Man 2 is that one for me as well as Fallen Order. Honestly, the Jedi games, I've played a little bit of it, but I just haven't had the time to complete it all. And
Yeah.
then I
That's what I
haven't.
do want to finish is the Fallen Order
Yeah,
ones.
I hear it's really good. Like, I finished the first one. It's Survivor that I'm trying to get through.
I haven't finished the first one. I need to go back and finish the first one, and then that's why I skipped watching the second one as well. So yeah, I need to do that too. This this goes into the big question that I think we also have. Are there too many games coming out that we can't like keep up with?
Yeah, I swear. I feel like there's been so many that came out this year that I've just been having a hard time keeping up. You're like, I got backlogs to complete still. Like, I just got to add it to the list and I'll get to it later.
It was kind of dry. Like the well was dry for games, and now it just feels like bam, 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 really good games.
After the other. Hmm.
And I'm like, God, I want to play all of them, but I can't.
I just don't have the time. And then you shift your whole sleep schedule and decide to play them. No. Uh,
Right.
for
I mean,
me, yeah.
I- I've played Baldur's Gate, and I'm not still in Act Two. In fact, I stopped as a place because I was like, do I want to progress? Because I want to. It's almost like I lock myself in progression where it's like, ooh, if I move this forward, am I locking myself out of other things? So I haven't made a move forward because I don't know if I should do one thing or the other. Or actually, I have three choices that I need to make right now. And it's like
Okay.
kill the dude, progress, and see about another thing with a companion of mine, or save people that are locked up. And I have to make a choice. And I have yet to make
Decision
the choice.
anxiety.
Yeah.
I get that. So that's where I have a hard time, and that's why I'm a save scrubber in Baldur's Gate 2, because I just want to see every decision play out because I can't commit to one. I have a fear of commitment in
Mm,
these games. I
but
also have like some of the games that come out too also have they've had like battle passes, they've
mhm,
had different seasons coming out because I feel like it's games being released, new seasons. I mean, I heard Grand Theft Auto 6 just now got a release, which I heard about the trailer and everybody that's just like you got the first Grand Theft Auto 5. They're like, "Whoa, what? It's actually happening?" Because it was a meme for the longest time that Grand Theft Auto 6 would release when we're dead.
yeah, yeah, I know. It kind of came out of nowhere too, because I think we weren't expecting an announcement for a while, and then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
bam, here.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I'm thinking about all the games, thinking about all the things I want to play, and thinking about all the choices, and it's just like I just don't have enough time. I want to do other things too, but I'm really happy that there's tons of games, which means the next time we hit like a dry spell of games,
yeah.
I'm gonna have a good catalog.
Be able to get those backlogs caught up. Yeah, I mean, 2020 was the worst for gaming, wasn't it? Because everything got delayed, and I think that's where we saw like a dry spell. And then
Yeah,
now every game
it was the
is coming
rise of
out.
collaborative gaming, though. So like that's where like Among Us
Among
came
Us,
out.
yeah,
Goose Goose Duck, I think, came out maybe a year later, year or two later. That was cool to see. I liked seeing a lot of the like play collaborative games. I like the what's the winner game? We Were Here or something like that. Where you,
yeah.
yeah, like the different puzzle and your front co-op. I love those kind of games too. I love puzzle games. Yeah, I mean, there's been tons of good games too, but then also
This is
was a
true.
dry spell too, because they're like they had a delay. There's actually some really bad games that came out too.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, for example, I mean, as of the recent one being Starfield, I feel that one.
Was it bad? I keep hearing
I
mixed reviews.
I hear that it didn't bring enough to the table. It was
Mm,
a Bethesda game. Like, no, I love Bethesda games. They have their charm.
yeah,
Not hating here, but there's what you like with Skyrim. A bug is considered the gaming experience.
yeah. I mean, I love Zelda. I have yet to make any meaningful progress in the latest Zelda game, and I don't know. It's like I don't want to play it, but I do want to play it. It's weird.
I finally just started playing Breath of the Wild,
Heyo.
and I mean, I'm loving the intro. I haven't gotten any further. I put the Switch down and I haven't picked it up since.
I love that game too. Although my favorite Zelda game is A Link to the Past, which is on
That's
Super
a good one.
Nintendo.
I want to play Ocarina of Time again.
Yeah, I was playing A Link to the Past on like stream a while ago, and someone recommended doing the random thing where you can when you play, it'll do like items are randomized, so you might not
Oh
get
yeah,
anything. And I don't know how you solve some of the dungeons without it, but
yeah.
it's interesting.
I've seen it with Elden Ring. People do the randomizers on
Mm,
stream. So they have a different setting. So for your character, when you start out, it's just random equipment that you get that you usually don't get. Bosses
yeah.
drop random things that you usually wouldn't get. The different boss fights, I've seen one where each fog wall you go into is a boss randomizer. So if you're at the beginning and you get the final boss, then that's what
Wow.
you got to deal with.
Yeah, and I haven't even played Elden Ring.
It's
I've
so good.
well, okay, correction. I have played it, much like your Breath of the Wild experience. I'm pretty much in the intro area, like a little bit.
Yeah, you got to the golden halberd guy and stopped, from what I
Oh,
hear, right?
well, I went over to the side and
That's
I went
right.
to the camp, and then I like met some lady, and then I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
and
that's it."
then yeah, you got to Melina, and
Yeah.
she offers you a Honda Accord. No, there's a joke on that. Because
Okay.
she always says, I offer you an Accord," and every time I
Ah,
hear that, I hear, "So a Honda Accord, all right." And then that's where you get your horse to fast like travel and
Mm.
call upon, so you're not walking everywhere. Elden Ring's good because I played Dark Souls 3 beforehand. I had my friends get me into it. And then I heard about Elden Ring, and basically it was Dark Souls 3, but improved because you can jump and it's an open world. And I there was something about it that just really caught me enough to, I mean, even get a tattoo of one of the big bosses on my arm. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that became, and so Elden Ring on that topic. Do you get hyperfixations on games?
Yeah. So I've got games on my list that I want to like complete, like 100%, and other ones I want to just beat. And so I get fixated on the outcome. So sometimes I'll be, for instance, Need for Speed. I
Oh yeah,
really don't like drifting in the game. It's
I can't get it under control.
I can do it, but there are little challenges on the map where you like go and drift, and if you get all the stars for drifting for all the scores, I hate it, but I will sit there for 3 hours and drift in one little segment to hit that thing, and I will hate it, but then I'll be happy when I accomplish it because I want to get all of the drift points, then I unlock the whatever thing to make my car cooler to get
You
the
have
hyper.
been well trained because of MMOs.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
that grind.
yeah, and I so I know if I play it, it's like it's all I'm doing for that for a while. So it's like I know not to turn it on. I know not to do it because I know I'll fall into that. I'll just do this. I'll just work on completing these. I'll just and it's like I get nothing else done. Uh,
Falls into a
otherwise,
pit of darkness.
yeah, pretty much. What else do I hyper fixate on? When I think about it, what about you?
It mostly comes down to very grindy games. This is where I'll hyperfixate. I had a small hyperfixation on with League of Legends for like the split section, like
I've
second.
never, I've never played that game. I've seen it. I've never played it.
I can
Never.
see where the addiction comes in because that's a very repetitive gameplay. It's very the game loop is just
Mhm.
locked in. You have so many options to choose for how you want to fight your enemy team, and then I realized I had to drop it because that would easily turn into how World of Warcraft gets for me at
Mm.
times where I can't do it. I will forget about the world and just play, and I will have to go to work the next day, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm only going to get an hour of sleep.
No, I see that. I kind of do that with things like Minecraft, where I get very fixated on building or creating something I have in my head. I'm a creator. I like to build stuff, and so I get very fixated on. I'm also like a perfectionist sometimes, so that's I hyper fixate on stuff like that.
Absolutely.
You, I like when I do my editing. I think I was sitting here editing, and I had like something else on, and my son was watching me. He got kicked off of doing other things, so his punishment was to sit here and watch me edit while I had a thing going, like a video on the side going, and I think I could edit. It was like an hour for every like 10 minutes of audio I edited, which
Okay.
isn't a lot of time, but I spend a lot of time scrubbing, looking through, cleaning up. Like I'm a
You like
perfectionist.
the small details, making sure it's
Yeah.
up to yeah. You focus there. You're very detail oriented when it comes towards that.
I want to make sure that if someone's going to listen to this, that I'm not wasting their time. So I'll cut stuff that I think isn't worth keeping. I will try to make the audio as clear as possible. I'll clean up anything that comes in the background. I'll get rid of all the extra ums and likes and dead silence and stuff that isn't very interesting when you're driving a car and you're like, okay, is anything going to happen? Stuff like that. So I get very fixated on trying to make the best experience. And this also happens with I do game development. I'm thinking about when you're playing, if someone's going to be picking this up and doing this, I just keep thinking, is this experience fun? What is that other person's perspective? Which it's helpful because it helps with my job too, where it's like
Yeah.
I'm thinking about user experience. What are people going to be doing? Is this like, is it worth it?
Yeah, it's not the worst trait to have because that can definitely benefit you. I see in your job where the details matter.
The issue is when you're like, it's been 3 months and you don't have a video out because you're so fixated on making perfection.
This is true. And then you burn yourself out
Yep.
because you're so focused on it that you just end up not releasing it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely burnout is a big aspect of it.
Yes, burnout, which I mean, with the topics we've talked about of game development and hyperfixation, World of Warcraft, do you feel like in the game development world, there's been a lot of burnout?
Yeah, there's I mean, I've been burned out before. I go in stages and I know when I'm in a burned out mode. I'll play a game and not feel bad about it. I will go and do something for hours on end and just walk away. And then like give
And
it a week
not
or two.
feel okay.
Yeah, give it a week or two and then I'm like, okay. I did during those 2 weeks I didn't think about game development at all. I thought about kind of getting my brain right and getting myself in a better state. And that's what happens when you overextend yourself. You put yourself in a state of imbalance and you're like for doing it for too long. You at some point you'll hit the wall and you're like, I can't do anything. And then you spend a lot of time getting back to normal. And then and then you either do it again and you get yourself back hitting that wall, or you try to find a balance. Uh,
Okay.
I've been burnt out so many times. Uh, Many things also burn out too, like from game development to I even get burnt out playing games. Like I'll be like, I'm done playing games, or burnt out watching TV or
True.
watching streams.
Yeah, I've been burnt out on games. There was actually a small period of it's like a month where I didn't play, and then you just kind of get back into it slowly after
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I haven't picked up Baldur's Gate mainly because of that fixation
decision.
about math.
Yes.
But it's also like I don't want to think, and then sometimes I'll be thinking so much that it's like I don't want to think strategy right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're just getting burnt out on games specifically. There's getting burnt out on. I get burnt out at work. I get burnt
Yeah.
out. I honestly, sometimes I get just burnt out on my living space sometimes too, where I just need to change things out. I know that's a weird one, but
No, it's not. Speaking of that, I'm trying to get back into fitness because
yep,
I'm like I need to get fit. So I
ditto, ditto over here.
um next time you come over, you'll have to check it out. But I finally have my space cleaned up on the other side of this studio.
Okay.
So now the music area is set up, and I used to do my VR stuff like right here, but now I have it over there, and so I've got a bigger space for the VR, so I do more of my fitness there, and I have my weight set and bench over there now, uh, and a little whiteboard area. So now it's a nice
Ooh,
clean space. I mean, if you go too far, there's a other side of the space that really needs to be cleaned up still.
we don't talk about that space.
We don't talk about that space, but the immediate studio has been extended and cleaned up and is now in a better like I've got my sections of like this is where I do the development work, that's the audio work, that's the creative area, that's my fitness area. So then I have these zones where it's like if I need to do it, I have those spaces. And not having it before made it really easy to be like, nah, I'll do it later, or I'm kind of like mixing spaces. So I don't really feel like it's you get that same feeling of well, I should be doing this instead of that. I'm here. So it's like moving it over there is like I'm in workout mode. I'm in creative mode, and it's been really helpful. So
Okay.
moving things around was good.
Your space that you live in and how it looks or how you can separate your zones does have a big mental impact on how you are productive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I mean, I just cleaned up my space here for my computers, and it feels so much better.
Nice. I need to do that again. I going in phases, but I've got too many coffee mugs. Let's be honest.
That's all good. It's already started for me. I got my two mugs to the corner, so I already know that's going to become a eventual walk of shame there.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, we moved our bedroom around too, and I already feel so much better with where it's at. I always feel like I need some change to brighten myself
Yeah.
up.
I'm never gonna move the bed upstairs. It's too big.
No,
I'm done. I'm not
I
moving
don't
it
blame you.
upstairs.
I
I'm
think
moving
I've
it.
seen that. I've seen that bed. I don't blame you.
Yeah, bought it, delivered it. It ain't moving. I was like,
It's done.
yeah. Need a new mattress though. Buy these mattresses and then you get the big dip and you're like, I need a new mattress. You're like, oh, mattresses are so expensive again.
Why? Why do they have to be so expensive?
So today is the last day of my sprint.
Yes.
And I remember how I said I had like 10, 11 tasks or whatever to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I finished I took the YouTube story and I was like, all right, I'm not gonna get this done. I'm not gonna do the clone. So I pitched that and I said, all right, delete that.
Done.
Hey, so 10 tasks. I only have 2 tasks left. I think it was 8
Right.
tasks because I had like 11 total and it was like 8. So
I
I
remember we
did
were saying 8
yeah, so
beforehand.
so I did like 5 tasks. So I created the 3D apartment. I created the detective character. I created the victim. I created a weapon asset and I placed it in the scene. So I've done all of those. I've also created a 2D asset of the murder weapon for the evidence. For those that don't know, I'm making a detective murder game. Don't get freaked out that I'm
Here's
talking
some
about this.
insight.
Just
No, we're talking about a murder weapon, obviously.
yeah, so just a heads up. And then so I made a ton of progress in there. I'll send you screenshots.
That's exciting.
I did go through some trial and error from like learning how like the skeleton bone stuff work in the engine, and then like, oh, that's not going to work, and then finding out how to manipulate it, and then like throwing it away and bringing in like things that actually worked on import, and realizing, man,
Okay.
I'm gonna have to do a lot myself and like bring it in because a lot of assets I downloaded were just not great, and I had to like pitch it and do a lot of stuff manually and then find something that actually worked. So I've got like this like dummy character prototype, which is fine. And now I'll be working on in the next sprint the like character controller, which will be fun to
Okay.
have the character running around the apartment. And
So, do you feel that as you have been getting more involved with it, that you're changing schedules a little bit more, changing what needs to be done first, reprioritizing anything, or
yeah, so this goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, where instead of trying to be like, I'm gonna be the artist on Monday, I'm like, okay, respawn point, edit it. So we have this videos out, these podcast out. And then it's like, work on a YouTube video if that's what's next, because that also needs to get out.
Mhm.
And then it's like work on the detective game and and then that's where like I work on the most important part of the detective game, which is like the 3D scenes or like the core prototyping that doesn't require doing art. And then once I get through all the parts that are like, okay, write all the code, write all the prototyping, write all the MVP, do everything I can that doesn't require me to go and learn to do Blender modeling or digital art assets or any of that stuff. Like get as far as I can. And then
Okay,
once I hit a wall and I realize I can't go any further,
you change.
then I spend that time learning the art, doing that stuff cuz then I can't move I can't go any further on the other aspects. So me saying, "Oh, I wish I should be doing blah 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 instead of this thing. I should be writing code instead of this." Like I've already done it. I'm as far as I can go. So the best way to move forward is to learn the modeling, is to learn the art. And then I can come back, push that forward, and then I just go back to this. So it becomes a list, a stack, where I just go for like whatever's most important is the thing I'm doing. And I have that listed when I
Okay.
start the sprint because it's in order.
So you feel like you're not gaslighting yourself because you're able to have ammunition to come back of saying, "Hey, I've gotten as far as I can with that until we
Exactly.
come back to it."
Yeah, and it's been way better. It feels really good to have things out there and be like, yeah, I didn't make that model, but I don't need to. I've written the code. I've gotten the character there. I'm starting to write the camera stuff. Like it's like a lot of things I can make progress with without having to spend, okay, now I gotta spend a month learning art and then I don't have anything. Now it's like, well, I've got something. It doesn't look great. It's got like a mesh of stuff. I mean, actually, it doesn't look bad, honestly, but it does. You can tell when things don't fit when you've got this like dummy character, but
You're
all
like,
the
"That's
animations
a
are there.
prototype." Hmm.
Yes, and that's what it will be, and then you just iterate over it, and then that's you say, "Okay, well, I need to spend this time learning this and improving this and getting better at it," but then you can have that, like, dedicated space and time because you know that's what you should be doing because you've already done everything else to prove, uh, where it's at here, and you're like, "Okay, I can move on to the next part," and then I wasn't feeling wasted, so I've actually felt really good about that, which it just took me a while to be like, "I'm doing a stacked method."
And it seems like that method has actually really worked out well for you. Awesome. I mean, it's, as you're learning more, it's a touch and go, but it seems like this is the one that's sticking and you're not feeling as bad about things and you're not overwhelming yourself from the sounds of it.
Yeah, I've also tried doing, the Pomodoro technique, so I'll do,
I
like, the
haven't heard of
25
that.
minute. You haven't heard of that?
I don't think I've heard of that.
Ooh. Alright, listeners, you might know about this one. So Pomodoro technique is where you have a timer, and it goes for 25 minutes, and during that 25 minutes, you just focus on the singular task you want to work on. You don't have to finish it, you just get as far as you can in those 25 minutes.
No matter what, it's just going to be the 25. Okay.
And then when you after that 25 minutes is up, you take a 5-minute break and you just chill, do whatever, get water, relax, look at your emails, do something else, watch a video, just take a 5-minute break. Then you
Okay.
come back and do another 25-minute Pomodoro. And then you do another 5-minute break. Now you can either choose whether you do like 2 Pomodoros and you do like a long break, which is like a 15-minute break after, or you can do like 4, I think is like the average. And then after you do 4, it's like a 15-minute break, something like that. So then it helps. You don't have to feel like you've completed the task in that period of time. You've made progress, and that's more important. It's the same thing with like going to the
Okay.
gym where you say, as long as you work out for a minute, you've done something. It's that same way to break up that mental block of like, I need to finish the
Hmm.
camera controller. Well, no, I just need to make progress on the camera controller.
Something is better than nothing, and you feel better about
Exactly.
it if you do it in short intervals with giving yourself breaks instead of also just gaslighting yourself to be like it's until this is finished. So then you're spending more than 3 to 4 hours working on a project and stressing out, or 8 hours of just being up at night.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, technically, you should never do more than like 16 Pomodoros because that's roughly it's over 8 hours. Uh, so my thing, and then I like, okay, the time I work at night, I can do a max of 5 Pomodoros, which is like, okay, I can shoot for 5. I don't have to do 5. The fact that I do
But
1 is great.
yeah, if you get 3 or 4, okay.
Yeah. So what I started doing, because estimating is what you do in Agile. All my stories have estimates. And before there's like these magic numbers. You're like, it's a 1, a 2. It uses the Fibonacci sequence. You do
Hmm.
1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. And like that's like the estimate of how much work it is. Well, I've decided to throw that out. Because to me, it's supposed to be like, well, is this story harder than that story? You know, you make it a if something's a 3, then something's gonna be harder. You make it a 5.
And
Instead,
then it's just kind of guesstimating.
yeah, I mean, it works out in the end. It's better for a bigger team. You know, there's a whole lot of
Hmm.
people out there that might not even like this idea, but I don't care. This is what's working for me. So I'm now taking and saying, how many pomodoros will it take for me to finish this? Is my guess, and
Okay.
I'll say like, oh, maybe it'll take me 13 pomodoros to finish this. And then I'll actually go through it and I'll find out how many it really took in the end. And after that, I'll like, okay, so this story is going to take this many, which then tells me, how many, because I said like I've got 5 pomodoros a night, right?
Hmm.
So if I look at that in over a 3-week span, that tells me how many pomodoros I have in total available. So when I try to build my schedule for that next sprint,
Hmm.
I I know to never exceed like
This X.
that total amount, which honestly, if I'm saying, oh, 5 pomodoros a night for that, like that's already too much. Cause
Hmm.
honestly, I'm not going to do 5 pomodoros every single night on
It's
this.
just
I
not
know it.
realistic. Yeah.
No. Yeah. You should plan for like 3, maybe 4,
Yeah.
find an average and say, okay, 3 to 4 multiplied by, 5 times 3 and say that's your total. And then when you build out your sprint, you say, hey, how many can you do in that amount? And then you take a guess, and you might be wrong. You might take more to get that done
Hmm.
because or you get it done really fast. One, I
Yeah.
thought it was going to take longer. I finished in the middle of my Pomodoro. I had 13 minutes left, and I finished it. And I was like, oh, okay.
Like, all right. Cool.
So I started working on the next task.
Nice. And it seems like that really has worked out. I mean, I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit more. Honestly, if I link that in there, I'm gonna have to investigate that and give that a try for like my music practice and for some of the new skills that I want to learn in the next few months because I just kind of want to try some new things.
It's helpful. It's helped you just creates a little bit of focus time.
Ooh, okay. So you got your dummies there, seeing just kind of like what
Yeah, there's
general position.
yeah. So there's like the character that's standing. I'll have this on screen for everybody if you're watching on YouTube. But I've got a character that's standing that represents the detective. I've got a person who's laying on the floor using the death pose animation, and there's a knife in front of him on the floor representing the murder weapon in this apartment complex. And then it's hard to tell, but one of the first things I did was build that apartment level. This is the full apartment in the 3D space.
Ooh, definitely made a lot more progress on the apartment because that's a fully furnished space.
I made tons of progress, and I'm super proud of myself. for
Yeah,
finding this technique, and hopefully I
this
stick
is
to it.
really awesome. I like this. I'm excited to see where it keeps going.
Me too, which is what this next sprint's going to be about.
Yes.
Uh,
Oh, I'm really excited to see where things go. So we'll just keep checking in on that. I mean, it seems like you've kind of learned a lot from the last few sprints. You're starting to learn more about how to pace yourself and not be mad, like angry at yourself for when you're not completing tasks. And it's also working for our podcast too. So that's
yep.
awesome.
Hoping I can push this forward, and we'll have this episode out just as quickly as we did the other time. And
Absolutely. Oh, that'd be really exciting. We could just get more content out there.
as always, thank you everyone for listening and being interested in our silly stories and random tangents. Really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we hope to catch you in the next one.